The first thing the observers noticed was how small the human looked. On the projection sphere suspended at the center of the Galactic Ethics Council chamber, the figure stood alone on an ash-gray plain beneath a pale sky split by twin suns. No shelter. No visible tools. No implants glowing beneath the skin. No combat frame. No survival rig. Just a human. Counselor Threxel flexed his segmented limbs in faint amusement. "Confirm again," he said. "The subject has been stripped of all technological assistance?" The attendant drone chimed. "Confirmed. Subject designation, Elias Rowan. Species, human. Age, 36 standard years. No neural augmentations. No subdermal mesh. No external devices beyond primitive fabric garments. Trial parameters enforced." A ripple of quiet satisfaction moved through the chamber. This world, designated Keros 9, was a death sentence. A forgotten testing planet once used by an extinct empire, its biosphere was stable only in the most technical sense. Life existed, but everything here killed slowly or painfully or both. The Council had chosen it deliberately. For centuries, Counselor Threxel continued, humans have claimed their resilience is innate, that they do not require machines, enhancements, or guidance to endure. Today we test that arrogance. Several counselors emitted approving clicks. Humans were newcomers, dangerous ones. They survived environments that should have broken them. They adapted too fast. They bonded with predators. They endured starvation, radiation, psychological isolation. But always the Council believed there was technology involved. Strip that away and the myth would die. On the projection, Elias Rowan raised his eyes toward the burning suns. "And breathe." Beginning. Elias knew three things within the first minute. First, the air was thin but breathable, barely. Second, the ground was unstable, layered with mineral dust that shifted underfoot. Third, he had been abandoned on purpose. He didn't panic. Panic wasted oxygen. The Council had explained the trial in clinical tones. A demonstration. A test of survival without external aid. No weapons. No comms. No extraction scheduled. Survive and humanity would gain political standing. Fail and the Council would have its proof. Elias laughed softly at the memory. Same old story, he thought. They want us to die quietly. He checked his body. Scrapes from the drop. Dehydration already setting in. Heart rate elevated but controlled. He knelt and pressed his palm into the dust. Too fine. Too dry. Water would be the first problem. Elias began walking. The suns climbed. Heat followed. By the second hour, his lips cracked. His vision shimmered at the edges. The planet wasn't actively hostile. No immediate predators, no storms, but that was worse. It was a place that waited. When exhaustion threatened to take him, Elias stopped and forced himself to observe. Patterns mattered. He noticed shallow grooves in the ground, almost invisible, curving toward a low ridge. Old water paths. Seasonal runoff, maybe centuries old. Where water once flowed, it might flow again. He followed them. By dusk, he found stone formations stacked like broken ribs. Shadows pooled between them, cooler. He gathered flat rocks, stacking them carefully to form a crude windbreak. Primitive. Effective. That night, the temperature plunged. Elias curled into himself, using controlled breathing to conserve heat. He thought of Earth. Of rain on concrete. Of coffee steam curling upward. Sleep came in fragments. Above him, invisible to the naked eye, observation arrays recorded every movement. The Council watched in silence. Middle. Day 3 was when hunger began to bite. Keros 9 supported life, but not generously. Sparse, fibrous plants clung to the soil. Insects skittered beneath rocks, their shells thick and metallic. Elias tested everything cautiously. He crushed a plant leaf, smelled it. Bitter. Likely toxic. He discarded it. An insect snapped at his finger when he reached too close. Pain flared, but the creature retreated. Territorial, he noted. Edible species often are. He watched. Patience paid off. He observed smaller insects feeding on mineral deposits near shaded rock faces. Where they fed, life persisted. Using a sharpened stone, broken by striking two rocks together, Elias fashioned a crude spike. It took hours. His hands bled. When he finally skewered an insect and roasted it over a carefully nurtured spark, made by friction and sheer stubbornness, the taste was foul. He ate anyway. Above, the council murmured uneasily. "He is constructing tools," one observer said. "Crude ones," Threxel replied. "Instinctual behavior. It will not be enough." But days passed. Elias lost weight. His beard grew wild. His skin darkened under the suns. He learned. He learned which rocks retained heat overnight, which shadows lasted longest, which insects nested near moisture. He learned to move at dawn and dusk, to rest at midday. When a predator finally appeared, a low, six-limbed creature with bone-plated skin, it circled him cautiously. Elias did not run. He raised his arms, shouted, made himself larger. He threw dust into its sensory pits. The creature retreated, confused. The observers stared. "No enhanced reflexes detected," the drone reported. "Response appears learned." By day 12, Elias had mapped a territory. By day 16, he had built a semi-permanent shelter against a stone outcrop. By day 20, he had survived a sandstorm by sealing himself beneath layers of stone and cloth. He was no longer merely surviving. He was adapting. Counselor Threxel felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping through his thorax. "Unease. Increase environmental difficulty," he ordered. The planet responded. Seismic tremors cracked the plains. Toxic spores bloomed from dormant plants. The temperature swings grew violent. Elias endured. He wrapped cloth over his mouth. He retreated to higher ground. He rationed movement, water, energy. Each hardship carved him thinner, but harder. On day 28, the observers detected something unexpected. Elias was talking. Not to himself. To the sky. "You watching?" he rasped, staring upward. "I know you are." The council leaned forward. "I get it," Elias continued. "You think we're scary because of our toys, our ships, our weapons." He coughed, then smiled faintly. "But this is us without any of that." He tapped his chest. "This is what you're afraid of." Silence filled the chamber. And the final test came without warning. A fault line ruptured beneath Elias's shelter. Stone collapsed. Dust choked the air. When the tremors ceased, Elias lay half-buried, his leg pinned beneath rock. Pain screamed through him. The observers watched closely. "This is the end," one counselor said quietly. Elias assessed the damage with grim clarity. Broken bone. Internal bleeding likely. Infection inevitable. No tools. No help. He laughed. A broken, hoarse sound. "Figures," he muttered. But he didn't give up. Using another rock, he levered debris away inch by inch. The pain drove stars through his vision. He screamed, but he kept moving. When the rock finally shifted, he tore free, dragging his ruined leg behind him. He splinted it with cloth and stone. Crude. Agonizing. Then he crawled. For 2 days. Toward the ridge where he knew moisture collected at dawn. On the third night, Elias collapsed beneath the open sky. His breathing was shallow. His pulse weak. Above him, the council chamber was silent. No technological interference detected, the drone confirmed. Subject survival probability, less than 3%. Counselor Threxel hesitated. The human had proven the point, hadn't he? Endurance, adaptation, stubborn life clinging to hostile soil. Yet something in Threxel's ancient instincts whispered danger. "Prepare extraction," he said at last. "We will not." The order died in his throat. On the projection, Elias Rowan opened his eyes. He pushed himself upright, slowly, trembling, defiant, and stood. The council chamber erupted. "This is impossible. He should be dead. No species survives this unaided." Elias looked directly into the observation lens he couldn't see but somehow felt. "I'm still here," he whispered. Extraction beams activated moments later. When Elias awoke aboard the council vessel, surrounded by alien physicians, he smiled weakly. "You took your time." Counselor Threxel approached, towering over the human. You have proven your claim, the counselor admitted. Humanity's resilience does not depend on technology. Elias met his gaze. No, he said softly. Technology just lets us take it further. The council recorded the verdict that day. Humans were not terrifying because of their machines. They were terrifying because, stripped of everything, they endured anyway. And across the stars, civilizations quietly updated their survival doctrines. If a human ever stood alone on a hostile world, it was already too late to underestimate them.